Hi everyone, welcome to our remote learning assignment 6. Today I'm going to use coffee, and you can see here I have different strengths of coffee in some little cups. You can use any kind of cup that you would like. I even poured a little cup of cranberry juice out that I found in the fridge because I think that this could be nice to add a little color to my coffee paintings. It's very easy to make coffee paint, but if you don't have any coffee at home, you could also make this with tea. If you don't even have tea, anything that will tint a liquid, such as, I don't know, vegetables, like if you had beets or something that has very strong color, like purple cabbage, that kind of thing, you can boil it in water, or in the case of coffee, if you have instant coffee, you can just put a teaspoon in some hot water. You can microwave it, and it's really easy to do. I have 3 different strengths here I achieved this by adding more water. And if you drink coffee, or if your parents drink coffee and there's a little left over in the mornings, you could use that as well. And then you wouldn't have to make anything. You just pour a little coffee in a cup, then just add water to get different strengths of it. I'm going to set this aside for a moment. I'm just going to use printer paper because I figured that's something that everybody has. If you don't have printer paper, you can also use notebook paper, but unlined would be preferable. Although if you used graph paper, maybe you could do something kind of fun with the little squares. I have never done this before, so what you are going to see is me experimenting first. There is a lot of beautiful art out there made with just coffee. Please check out the link that I included in the handout by the artist Julia Bernardelli. Her art is incredible. She doesn't even use any brushes. Of course, if you have paintbrushes and you'd like to use paintbrushes, please feel free. The first thing I want to do is experiment a little bit with these Q-tips and toothpicks and see what I can even do. Also, I want to see how to get the different strengths of coffee. First of all, spoon out a tiny amount. There we go. Then I'll go to the next strength up, see what that looks like. A little darker. And then the last one. Ooh, no, it's really dark. Okay. So I don't see a lot of difference between the first one and the second one, but definitely this third one is pretty concentrated, so that's going to make darker paint for me. Also, let's take a look at what the cranberry juice does. Okay, it makes a light pink. All right, now I'm going to try some different stroke techniques using a Q-tip first. Maybe I'll use the most concentrated. You know, Q-tips work pretty well. That's not bad. Kind of like it. Let's see what I can do with the toothpicks. I'm going to put a little of the concentrated coffee down with the Q-tip and then spread it with the toothpick so I can get sharper edges. It looks like it's going to be easy to layer in the same way that you layer watercolor paint. You paint a layer and you let it dry, and then you give it another layer. So if I do this one mountain shape right here, and you can use a blow dryer, or I have a heat gun I'm going to use, but I imagine that a blow dryer is what most people would have. And let's get that going, dry this up, and see what it looks like after it dries. Now that this is all dry, I'm going to add another layer. It might be nice to get an effect with the cranberry juice of a sunset maybe going on behind these mountains. Let's see what happens. It's so pale. I'm not sure if how much color I'll be able to get here, but we'll see. Again, with layering, which is to say letting it dry and then putting another layer on, you can intensify colors. So if this cranberry juice doesn't look like much now, I'm gonna see if drying it and adding another layer will work. I'm not using watercolor paper, so it looks like it really tends to buckle up. So if you did have anything that was more like watercolor paper or even a thicker drawing paper, if you have a sketchbook at home, you might get better results with that. But again, I'm trying to do this with very unprofessional art supplies. Julia Bernardelli only uses spoons and toothpicks and stuff she has around the house, so it can be done. It's just figuring out how to do it. The only thing is her art did look like it was on better paper. So again, the better quality paper that you can find in your house, if you can find any, I think you're gonna get a better result. But who knows, maybe the printer paper and all of the buckling that occurs will have its own artistic charm. Notice I'm not really getting into the brown coffee part with the cranberry because I don't want them to run together. They might not really run together too much if the coffee part is dry, so you can get very close. I just don't want to overlap it, if you know what I mean. So let me just dot that on. I'm gonna give it one more dry and one more coat because I'm starting to see the pink come out here. Also, let me scoot this one little piece over there. It looks like the toothpick is really good for getting the precision that you might want to get, and the Q-tip is really good for spreading a lot of paint at once. So if you spread the paint with the Q-tip, then you use the toothpick for the detail. I think that's gonna be the way to go. It's not really the medium that you're using. It's more about your willingness to experiment and also your willingness to take your time and really try things out. If you tip the toothpick up, a little bead of the coffee will run down the toothpick, and that is a way for it to hold the paint. So you can see I'm getting some more intense color doing it that way. I kind of like this better than using the Q-tip on these details because the Q-tip spreads it a little too much. I like being able to make fine lines. Ooh, that's good. All right, this is so gonna work. And I'm excited to work on a larger piece. You don't have to work large, by the way. You can do a very small piece. You can do several little ones on one piece of paper if you would like. The key is to just experiment and do what you think is fun and what is gonna have the coolest outcome. What I'm gonna do is find myself a reference image because I think that that is really helpful. All right, I'm gonna get going because I'm excited to do this. I'll be back at the end and we'll wrap it up and talk about how you can create yours. Coffee, when used as paint, works like sepia tone ink or watercolor. It has the same kind of properties. So if you experiment with it, wet on wet, dry on dry, dry on wet, wet on dry, just like you would with watercolor or with a sepia tone ink, I think that you will get some interesting results that work just as well as any commercial art supply that you could buy. I drew my magnolia branch from a reference image that I found on unsplash.com. I like using Unsplash for reference images because the images are all copyright free, and that means the artists, the photographers who took them, put them up there for us to use. So please experiment, play around, do whatever you'd like. Find a reference image. I think that's an important thing to do. Sketch it out first, like I did. Don't forget with the toothpick that if you want to be able to get a line with it, you're going to have to dip it in the coffee and then make sure that you let the drip of paint, which we can see a little bead of paint on it. Can you see that right there on the end? That has to drip off, and then you can extend it out. So otherwise, just dipping it in the coffee I don't think will work very well. And of course you can try other things besides these toothpicks. As I said, there we go. Our example artist did incredible things using a spoon, which that's just amazing to me. Anything you can do with regular watercolor or with ink, you can do with coffee, or even tea if you don't have coffee. Anything that stains the water will work. If you have your own brushes at home, great, use them, absolutely. But if you don't, please try the methods that I'm demonstrating so that you can turn in something that you're happy with and that looks cool and is fun for you to do. Just have fun with it, and I'll enjoy seeing what you have created next week.